Hi everyone and welcome for this new tutorial how to paint quickly Meganobz orcs for Warhammer 40k. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you all the different steps to paint this into tabletop level, and for my Patreon I will in the next week show how to increase the level on this miniature. So if you want to support me, don't hesitate. Let's go for the paint. So before I start this video, I just put some black spray, and after that I make some airbrush to push my first light directly with some white. I use in my airbrush some Pro Color paint, with very easy to use, and it's more easy for me to clean my airbrush after. So the step you see, it just puts a lot of lining directly with some white. I use the same white, the airbrush color from Pro Color again, and I push every edges in white. It's going to give to the non-metallic metal great contrast, so a nice effect. This step can be pretty long, but it's very important to make it to have a nice effect at the end. I use a lot the side of my brush to put the white on the edges, so don't hesitate to use not only the points of your brush, not only the end of your brush, but all the side of your brush. That's a very important point. I use my brush is an Raphael 8404, and that's pretty easy to use it, and to because he have a very good reservoir at the beginning of the brush, so it's more easy to use it without coming a lot of time to your palettes. As you can see now, I start the second step, who is using some black to push once again my contrast. Don't hesitate, if you like this kind of tutorial, to put a comment. Tell me what do you like to see for the next step, for the next tutorial. So as you can see, I put just near my line of white, I'm going to put more and more black to create this contrast to make a great non-metallic metal. I am going to be at Adepticon, so I'm going to give some masterclass. Don't hesitate to come to me, even if you don't reserve on the websites at Adepticon. If we have some space, that will be a pleasure to receive you. And if you want, I will be at the booth of Happy Games Miniatures all during the convention. It will be the same for the Gen Con, so don't hesitate to come to me. So now I'm going to push my basic color on every green surfaces. So for the face and some very few surfaces, I'm using some light green from Prince August. So it's a very covering color, so it's very easy to put it in 1 or 2 times if you need. Take care about your dilution. There are one good dilution for everything you are going to do. If you want to have something directly and with a good base, don't need to dilute too much. If you want a very powerful color, don't dilute too much. If you prefer to have some, if you make some weathering or some shades or anything else, so at this moment you can dilute a lot, but take care about the quantity of paint you have on your brush. The basic things is more you are going to dilute your paint and less you are going to have paint on your brushes. This is a very important part. Now I'm going to make my base coats, my base on the all red parts. For that, I'm going to use Chaotic Red from Army Painter. The Army Painter color is pretty good to make your transition because it's pretty already diluted, but not very good to push your base because it's not very covering. So don't hesitate, if you use poor color, to don't dilute too much your color when you want to make some classical base. Now I'm going to use some desert yellow on every yellow part. So at this moment I put a lot of different color to push all my different parts, to push the basic color on all the parts to see if the results is going to be good. So I use some turquoise for the some small parts, all the energetic parts. Don't hesitate when you use the turquoise to dilute a lot, so the turquoise is going to going into the recesses, and this is going to make the some kind of powerful effect. As you can see, when I paint, I move a lot the hand I use with my brush and the hand with the miniatures. And now I'm going to put a second time some quick shades. So now I start with the dark tone from Army Painter, and this dark tone I'm going to use it very diluted on the green skin, and with a very basic dilution, so not too much on for example here on the red and on some different metallic parts. That's going to help me to make some distinction between the different kind of metal. So all the miniatures is in metal, so to have a better visibility, I'm going to make some distinction between different parts. So now I'm going to use some Mars Red mix with a little bit of Carmine Red from Prince Auguste. This color is going to be more covering. So I'm going to put these highlights on every small part we are going to take the more highlight. I'm going to put every edges. As you can see, the red is going to be very important on my minis because a lot of the mini is already in gray. So just take your time to have a very intensive red. I come back with some orange and I put on some edges some line of orange, and after that I'm going to add a little bit white into my orange to push to put my last highlight. More I'm going to paint and more I'm going to tap my color to have a very good intensity. This step is pretty easy to have a very nice red. And now I'm going to put some color, some red into the face, the red face, and I'm going to come back with my first light green, the color I use to make my basic color, and I create all my highlights directly on the face, on the shoulder, and on every part I need. The way I'm going to push all the highlights is pretty easy, because step by step I'm going to add a little bit more ivory into my highlights to put more and more highlights. So now I'm going to use a mix between my red and the ivory, just to have a little pink color to push on the different parts of the mini. As you can see, I can finish like that just with some small point of ivory. Take care about that, because a lot of people use a little bit too much, and that's going to have a result very flat. So just some few points, and now I come back with green to have a better, with just some few layer of green, to have a better color on my face. So now I come back once again with some turquoise, very diluted. So it's going to go into the recesses, and with my finger, as you can see, I remove all the exceeded paint to create a powerful effect. And now I'm going to come with my black color to create some stripe on the different yellow parts. So that's pretty easy to do, and that's very good to create some different kind of effect. I come back after that with some white into my turquoise to make once again some washes to push this color into the recesses to make this other thoughts lightning effect. I do the same step all time I need to have very intensive effect. And now I come back with some caustic red to make some layer into the different non-metallic dark parts. As I explained at the beginning of the tutorial, I try to make two different kind of non-metallic metal. I have the very white non-metallic metal, and this one, the dark one, I want to have something more more hot. So I had some brown red to create a more deep effect. That's a pretty easy way to make some distinction between different kind of effect. And now I'm going to put once again some highlights on every non-metallic metal parts, and I come back more on the dark non-metallic metal, because after the different shades I lose a lot the shiny effect. So I come back with some points of ivory on every edges to create this kind of effect. As you can see, this is very important. The last point of white is going to create a very big and huge difference. Once again, don't hesitate to put a comment about what do you think about my tutorial, my English accent too, because as you can hear, I am French, and yeah, sometimes it's not very easy to translate, but I hope you enjoy this kind of tutorial. And by the way, if you are at Gen Con or Adepticon, just come and say hello, I will be there. So a lot of times, some few points of highlights make a huge difference. So even if you create and paint some tabletop minis, don't hesitate to push that and to create very big contrast. Just to finish, I'm going to show you how to create a checkerboard. So as you can see, I make some line from one side and from another side, and now I'm going to complete every two square by white color, and after that I'm going to come back with black to create a square more clean, and I can come back again with white. Never forget, when you want to create some freehand or something like that, never forget you are not going to make it in only one time. So don't worry, just take the time to try that, and after come back to correct anytime you need. And after you are going to make it one or two times, it's going to be more and more easy to do. So just before that, I make a layer of black just to make sure that there are some transition on the helmet to create the checkerboard come from the helmet. So now I'm going to make the same things, but on the front of the minis, and as you can see, the method is exactly the same, but it's always cool to can show you that one more time. So thanks for watching this video tutorial. Don't hesitate once again to put a comment to support me on Patreon. I will show you after this level how to increase, and I'm going to show you in the different Patreon special miniatures how to do Overthrows Lightning, OSL, how to do copper, and how to create some rust with pigment. So don't hesitate to support me on my Patreon, and see you very soon, and find the time to paint. See you.